A mysterious figure lurks in the stands above a wrestling match. An ambitious crane shot soars above the ring and through the crowd to find him. This man doesn't seem like he's really watching the event so much as biding his time. So why is he there? Maybe he's invigorated by the grappling and preening of the wrestlers, the display of violence, the ambient roar and approval of the crowd. This guy looks fierce, aggravated. He's bundled up in a trench coat, his hair disheveled. This unfamiliar face is Christopher Lambert. At this point in the film, this guy could go either way, which is part of his charm as an actor. The character is Connor MacLeod, and he's overwhelmed by the theatrics below him, the overzealous crowd cheering on this staged imitation of violence because he's seen the real thing. And suddenly, it all starts rushing back to him. The Scottish Highlands, two clans colliding, swords and bodies clashing together in mud and fog. It's too much for MacLeod, and he abruptly leaves. I love this opening sequence because I try my best to put myself in the shoes of someone watching it for the first time in 1986. Someone who probably wasn't watching it in the theater because the film was not a hit upon release. No, our hypothetical viewer would have found this gem on home video. And here we are. Our hero saunters into a parking garage. A man appears. The two seem to know each other.
MacLeod.
But what could their connection possibly be? And all of a sudden, they begin battling with swords. A frenetic back and forth with cool little trick shots like this one with the sunglasses. Unique ways of conveying information, which the movie is full of. A director like Russell Mulcahy was kind of maligned for stuff like this, as too flashy, too MTV. But I love it. Mulcahy was a music video director, one of the hottest at the time. Duran Duran's favorite collaborator. Well, forget hottest, he was the music video director. He was the first. He directed Video Killed the Radio Star for the Buggles, the first video that ever aired on MTV. Okay, let's take ourselves back again to the 80s. You're renting this film on videotape. You're watching the sword fight, backflips, crane shots, interactions with the environment, Connor smashing through the windshield of a car, swords grazing sprinklers and drenching our fighters in water. Really energetic choreography, and to top it all off, our presumed hero, whose intense brow and beady eyes show that he means business, has subdued his opponent. But he doesn't demand that he yield, and he doesn't just stab him. No, he cuts off his head. He cuts his head off so hard, the sword sticks into a cement column. What? Then all of a sudden, the headless man's body begins to glow and levitate. And not just that, it starts emitting electricity that surges all of the cars in the garage. Their windshields explode, their headlights burst, their engines rev uncontrollably. And Connor, looking up to the heavens, illuminated by some mysterious light, is overcome by a powerful wind as he presumably absorbs the power that is whirling all around him. What is happening? What an opening! Who is this mysterious man? And what of the strange occurrences that seem to govern his life? This wonderful opening solidified Highlander as a series that, like its protagonist, just won't die. A series whose essential premise has been so captivating that it's arguably been done to death. But it's a great concept, one that people have ripped off so much over the years, we come to forget how unique and cool it really must have been at the time. We learn more about Connor through a series of flashbacks. He was a Scottish Highlander of the clan MacLeod, who in an ancient time met a fearsome foe on the field of battle and was seemingly slain, only he awoke, better than ever, from certain death. This miracle is perceived as witchcraft by the clansmen of his day, and he is driven out of town to scratch a life for himself on the moors. These flashbacks continue for most of the first act and are seamlessly integrated into the ongoing narrative by a series of ingenious transitions devised by Mulcahy as we move from our current day to learn more about the mysterious Connor. Just look at some of these. We move from the roof of the parking garage into 16th century Scotland. Connor writhes on the battlefield, the overhead crane shot subsumed into an extreme close-up of Connor's eye as he drives away in a car in present day. Connor stews in his exile, and his face dissolves into a billboard for the Mona Lisa exhibition, and we pan down to Connor, present day, walking the teeming streets of New York. It's all so great. Eventually, we see that Connor has beat the slump of his exile and has settled down to a nice quiet life with the beautiful Heather, with whom he shares, I guess, what could be called a modest castle and a little farmstead. But just as things are beginning to get a little saccharine, the fantastic and majestic Juan Villalobos Ramirez appears, festooned in foreign dress atop a white steed. Sean Connery, the legendary actor, whose screen time is modest, fills the vital role of old wizard who teaches Connor about his true nature. He is an immortal.
Who are you? We are the same, MacLeod. We are brothers!
Another amazing transition to modern day that keeps the film moving like a freight train, and nice work, Mulcahy. Back to Connery. It seems he's clearly having a lot of fun with the role, and his exposition dumps are delivered in between montage sequences in which Connor is trained in the art of sword fighting and learns the ground rules of the whole Immortal game.
If your head comes away from your neck, it's over.
There are many Immortals on the Earth, and Ramirez and Connor are just two. The film, intelligently, keeps their origin and broader purpose, creator, etc. deliberately vague. All we really need to know is this.
What gathering?
When only a few of us are left, we will feel an irresistible pull towards a faraway land. To fight for the prize.
Connery also introduces the idea of the quickening.
Let yourself feel the stack. His heart beating.
Which I think is fair to say is never fully paid off plot-wise, but works in other ways. So the Immortals have this otherworldly ability to tune into nature, as Connery says to Connor. Presumably Connor can tap into other things as well beyond animals. But what this all is really, in my opinion, it's the key to the appeal of the whole Highlander project, and it's conveyed well in Mulcahy's filmmaking. The Highlander series is a very tactile series, in that it is obsessed with the body, the feeling of rain on your skin, of sweat, blood, power, the nature of man's animal form and feeling and being, and of being overcome by power, overcome by the beauty of life and the human being's ability to excel within it, and to feel an absolute rush of joy and ecstasy in being alive. Yeah, maybe this scene is cheesy by today's standards. Maybe it's a little too Rocky 3 for you. But it taps into the same thing that Stallone was doing with Rocky.
MacLeod! This is the quickening!
The quickening doesn't pay off plot-wise, but it's kind of a thesis statement, kind of like the eye of the tiger. And it's inspiring. And with it all set against Michael Kamen's magisterial score, a rousing suite that pairs extremely well with best bros running and leaping together and crossing swords on the highest peak, Highlander gets me pumped up. That's also why untraditional actor Christopher Lambert, a guy who when he has to play happy or exist in more pedestrian romantic scenes, comes off as either kind of dumb, goofy, or kind of clumsy.
Good evening.
But when he's hassled or fighting to survive, he's like unbelievably fierce, almost animalistic, and he just looks great. Lambert was born in America, the son of a French diplomat, then raised in Switzerland. Highlander was an early role for him, but in watching his performance in Luc Besson's Subway, a film released the year prior, it's easy to see he has this special kind of magnetism. Subway is this kind of angsty, stylistic crime drama comedy where the roguish dynamite enthusiast Fred, played by Lambert, oscillates between moments of manic intensity, gleeful boyish humor and curiosity, and then an almost puppy dog romance with the stunning Isabella Gianni. And the film repeatedly emphasizes Lambert's distinctive and unconventional screen presence,
Il a une bonne tête.
which ends up serving him well in the surprisingly multifaceted needs of the titular character in Mulcahy's film. In modern day, Connor is an antiques dealer, no doubt having collected many treasures over the course of his nearly 500 years of life. And though he lives sort of a lonely existence, he's got a cool house and good things going for him. Though it's all about to change, as the gathering of which Ramirez spoke is upon him. The Immortals have been drawn to the fabled faraway land and are about to fight for the prize. Therefore, Connor is about to come face to face with his archenemy, the Kurgan, played with unhinged aplomb by Clancy Brown.
Happy Halloween, ladies.
The man who nearly killed Connor on the battlefield all those centuries ago, the reckless evil immortal whom Ramirez warned him about, the man who eventually beheaded Ramirez after a valiant battle in Connor's castle.
There can be only one.
Well, the Kurgan is back, and he's not refined himself or sought a life of quiet urbanity like Connor. No, he's getting with the times. Shaved head, earrings, tattoos, full-on punk rock. He's a dick to everybody at his seedy motel, and unlike Connor, his sword is this unwieldy thing that's violently snapped together for optimum destruction, and he's about to do God knows what to this prostitute. What will happen? we think, when he and Connor clash on the modern-day streets of New York. Highlander also succeeds because it follows this formula that was innovated in the 80s by films like The Terminator and Charles Band's Trancers, movies where the ultimate fate of the universe will be decided in modern day amongst a small group of people. As the opening prologue of The Terminator says, the final battle would not be fought in the future, it would be fought here in our present, tonight. This is a really clever way to make your film feel bigger and more epic than your budget might actually allow. In Terminator, the fight for the future against machines happens in Los Angeles, in parking garages and other urban spaces. We see the future, but just enough hint to show us it's there. Same with Trancers. The fight against the villain who can resurrect people as zombie Trancers is taking place in a future that we get a glimpse of, but to escape death, evil Martin Whistler transfers his consciousness back in time to the body of his ancestor, and our hero, Jack Death, follows. Usually in films like these, there's a kind of police procedural subplot as modern-day lawmen try to make sense of the wild crimes left in the wake of these future, past, supernatural, extra-dimensional battles that are playing out in our modern day. The protagonist also meets up with a romantic love interest who acts as an audience surrogate against a larger-than-life protagonist with arcane knowledge about the secret war that is going on in our midst that will decide the fate of humanity. In Highlander, the love interest is a police officer, Brenda Wyatt, a forensic scientist with a dabbling interest in ancient sword making, who, through the power of high technology, uncovers Connor's secret, his adopting of various identities to blend in and survive throughout the ages. The idea of immortal beings living through history got its start probably with Mary Shelley's novella The Immortal, about a man who drinks a magic potion and ceases to age. The ultimate theme of the story being having to live on as everyone around you dies makes for a lonely existence. And this theme is adopted in Highlander as well, as Connor has to suffer through the death of his beloved Heather and move on to a new life. He's tormented ultimately by his immortality. It's something of a curse, and has made his current existence hollow and empty. Beyond that, the only other example of fictional immortals living forever in popular media of the time was probably Anne Rice's novel Interview with the Vampire, in which notable character Lestat, we're told, has been alive since the 19th century and roamed into our modern day, still carrying the customs of his birth in revolutionary France, much like Ramirez. So this immortal idea was not wholly original with Highlander, but the film was the first to make it to screen. And the way in which it was done, where we see various amusing flashbacks of Connor in different points in history, Edwardian England, World War II, operating as a kind of superhero, was no doubt the inspiration for Wolverine's ultimate evolution into an immortal-type character in the Marvel Comics. Highlander was created by Gregory Wyden, who also wrote the script for the firefighter drama Backdraft, and his screenplay for Highlander was optioned right after his graduation from film school, a fairly auspicious debut for a young filmmaker. Wyden has a public Facebook page, and he's been kind enough to post a lot of fantastic behind-the-scenes Polaroids and photos of his involvement in various projects. It's really cool. The real shame is that after bringing Highlander into the world, he was never brought back to help with any of the sequels, in any capacity, which I assume spurred the development of his own directorial debut, The Prophecy with Christopher Walken, as in the film, evil Angel Gabriel, who is fighting, you guessed it, an existential, yes, secret war for the universe under our very noses. He searches for an evil soul that will tip the scales of his war against God, while police detective Elias Koteas tries to make sense of the cosmic aftermath. It's very similar to Highlander in that way. Factions of good and evil celestial beings taking on human form in a battle for mankind, played out in gritty urban spaces, and features a fun performance by Walken, but it's a really sort of grisly, sordid, and grim film with none of the triumph or majesty of Highlander. Highlander is a dynamite explosion of style and action, but we also have a lot of levity as well, lots of strange inclusions that I can't say whether they bear Wyden's signature or not, but they do align with similar choices that Mulcahy had made or would make in his future career. Mulcahy's debut film was the Australian horror picture Razorback, which, despite being about a killer pig roaming the Australian outback, might be one of the most beautiful films of the period. He takes a lot of wild swings on camera moves that are sometimes disorienting or break continuity, but you applaud him for trying. The movie is also packed with these devilish goblin-esque characters. Now, I'm no expert in Australian film, but these kinds of characters show up in Miller's Mad Max movies as well. For whatever reason, these Australian filmmakers, they have a penchant for creating supporting players who are just inexplicably crazy. Denizens populate bars and chatter and howl like ghouls. We see this in Mulcahy's Highlander too. The duo of pale, malnourished minions who fly around on hoverboards, twitch and cackle, and seem to take joy in misery. Or people exist who just do weird, totally incongruous things. Like this. who I would guess is some kind of John Birch Society doomsday prepper anti-communist guy, who is, just driving around, happens upon the Kurgan battling another immortal, and just decides that, he needs to get in on the action. He needs to get in there. The Kurgan himself is a delightfully wanton menace, a show-stopping moment being his kidnapping of Brenda and their nighttime cruise from hell around the city. He's scary, of course, but he's just so fun and amusing. I'm surprised he's not ranked higher in reappraisal of 1980s villains. And finally, our two foes meet. It's a spectacular battle, of course, on the rooftop, illuminated by powerful red neon. And then the duo falls into a final showdown in a large, windowed room, tailor-made for music videos. It's a gorgeously choreographed fight, bringing back the crane that swoops in on the action, and when Connor finally wins the prize and separates the Kurgan's head from his body, it's spectacular.
There can be only one.
Boom, the windows explode. It's ecstatic. So Connor wins the prize, which he discovers is something approximating omnipotence or ultimate knowledge. Also, the ability to die and live a normal life. Knowing that Connor has put this affair to rest for good, the evil Kurgan prevented from taking the power that would have spelled doom for humanity, he goes off in peace with Brenda. And that's it. Wyden wraps it all up nicely. There's really nowhere else to go from here. But of course it didn't end there, and we were all subjected to maybe the most infamous sequel of all time, Highlander 2: The Quickening. A movie which had two choices. They could basically follow the formula of Highlander 1 and do a sort of retcon remake that would establish extra villains for him to fight, or they could take a swing in a totally different direction, and that's absolutely what they did, with a crazy story about the future, protective domes around the Earth to protect the ozone layer, an evil corporation, the planet Zeiss, aliens wanting their revenge on Connor, Ramirez coming back from the dead. It's a crazy film. It is actually worth watching, though. And if you're interested in hearing more about Highlander, if you want more, I would highly recommend you guys checking out the episode we did on Highlander on the Film Journal podcast with myself and my co-host Ryan Cinecrisis. We talked about Highlander 2: The Quickening, as well as Highlander 3: The Final Dimension. But again, if you like my channel, you guys really should check out the Film Journal podcast, which you can find on my live tab or on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We have a great time on the show, and we're nearing around 30 episodes. Been going for a long time. We have a lot of fun, great discussion, and when you join live, we have a really good time. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning into my episode on Highlander. I hope you liked it. I hope it helped you reappraise or maybe bring you back to watch the film again, because it really is great. I had a blast looking into the series. And thanks so much for tuning in. The channel's growing. If you like my stuff, please consider liking or subscribing or becoming a channel member. Every little bit helps to keep this project going and help me make more videos. Thanks so much.